got a group of people here together today to have a look at what is the science of happiness at work, how does it create high levels of performance and high levels of engagement, and how can organisations benefit from this groundbreaking research?
As I said, my name's Stacey Ashley. I'm actually based in Sydney and I work quite closely with Jane, who's based in Brisbane. We each have our own coaching and training businesses. We're both qualified coaches, executive coaches, career coaches. We're members of the International Coach Federation, and of course we both have long, corporate history behind us as well to give us the insight into what goes on for people in workplaces, because we've been there. Just by way, I guess, of background to the science of happiness at work, the work that we're going to be exploring today is based on the research conducted by the Eye Opener Institute in the UK. They're based at Oxford University, and it's an extensive piece of research over about 7 or 8 years that's led to the development of the science of happiness at work. The really interesting thing about the science of happiness at work is that when we go through it, you'll go, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I kind of know that as well. But what we're giving you is a way of taking that kind of common sense information, this is not rocket science, and turning it into really practical application. So there's a Sydney University Menzies Centre of Health research piece that shows that unhappy employees slice $20 billion off the bottom line of the Australian economy. 20 billion. There's another piece of government federally funded research around high performing workplaces that shows those workplaces that have really happy people working there are 3 times as profitable. So it's not just about, oh, this is soft and fluffy and we're feeling great. It actually has really tangible outcomes for a business. How this work fits for us is that because we do career coaching, we see the impact on individuals who maybe, they've lost the buzz of going to work, maybe they've plateaued, maybe they're really, really unhappy. But maybe it's just an uncomfortable feeling of, I don't really know what's wrong, but I'm just not feeling it anymore. But we also work in organisations, and so we can see the ripple effect that can create in an organisation. If you've got a group of people who are working as a team and everything's going really well, and then one person doesn't perform quite as well, or they're feeling unhappy, or perhaps they're getting a lot of criticism, or whatever it may be, it doesn't just affect the individual, it affects a lot of the people around them. So you have this cascade that happens in an organisation. So just a little bit of unhappiness can actually breed a lot of impact. What are they? What needs to be there, or what needs to be happening for you to be happy at work? Respect. Achievement.
Voice.
Having a voice. Recognition. How dull will it be if we didn't laugh? Yep.
Flow, where things flow.
Yeah. Yep. Where you get in the zone and it just happens, yeah? Trust, kind of important. Feeling valued. Good list. Awesome. Who wants to work there? But let's talk about happiness. There's a lot of research in this space. One of the leading researchers is Sonia Lyubomirsky, who is a professor and researcher at the University of California, and she looks at the whole of life happiness. And what her research has demonstrated, and it's been confirmed by a lot of other research, is that 50% of our happiness is innate. It's what we're born with. 10% is about our circumstances and our environment. So it's impacted by, what's going on for us. And then 40% is derived from what we do every day. But 5 days a week, for most people, they're at work. So how much of an impact does that have on that 40%? Quite substantial. What I want to talk about is when we're referring to happiness, which part of happiness, because there's lots of types of happiness, we're actually talking about. There's emotional happiness, so a quick burst of, woo, that was great. State happiness, which is about mindset. It's relatively stable, but it is influenced by changes for you. Okay, so it is sensitive to change, a little bit of the highs and lows. And the third type of happiness is trait happiness, again, what we're born with. Yeah? And this is pretty stable across the course of your life. Yeah, it's pretty hard to change your genes. Okay, what are we talking about when we're talking about science of happiness at work? We're talking about this state happiness, your mindset. What's happiness at work? Happiness at work is a mindset which allows you to maximise performance and achieve your potential. You do this by being mindful of the highs and lows when working alone or with others, and achieve your potential. Sounds pretty powerful. The research shows us employees who are happiest, 180% more energised, 155% happier on the job, 150% happier in their life overall. That's the 40% coming into play. 108% more engaged, 50% more motivated, 50% more belief in their potential, and 40% more confident. That's some big numbers. Specific areas that the research has demonstrated are impacted directly by happiness, and you can measure in an organisation. There's 3 core ones that we look at. So comparing the happiest to the unhappiest employees. Staying in the job, so my intention to leave the organisation. We know that when somebody leaves the organisation, it costs a lot, typically. So if I'm the happiest, I'm going to stay with you. At the moment, I'm intending to stay with you for 2 years. If I'm unhappy, 12 months. So in terms of the tenure and the turnover, your organisation has a really significant impact. Sick leave. The happiest employees, on average, take 3/4 of a day out of the office, so being absent from the office. Unhappiest, 7 days a year. Doona days, mental health days, okay? And focus on task. If I am one of the unhappiest employees, I'll give you 2 days a week, 40% on task. If I'm one of the happiest, I'll give you 4 days a week on task. Over the year, that's about 100 days difference per employee. How does that impact productivity and profit and performance and so on? So that's the background. I'm going to hand over to Jane. Jane's actually going to take you through the model that was developed out of the findings from the research.
The absolute heart of feeling like we're happy at work is that feeling of like we're achieving our potential. In your handouts, you'll see this particular model, and it's called the Performance Happiness Model. And this was put together by Opener in the UK. By the way, this is also based on the work that Jess Price-Jones did. She's the CEO of iOpener in the UK. She's written a book called Maximising Your Psychological Capital, so if you decide you want to read it, there's a lot of in-depth information in that book, but we'll give you the nice express version. But what you can see is, you can see at the heart we have achieving your potential, and then there are the 5 C's sitting around it. And the 5 C's are contribution, conviction, culture, commitment, and confidence. And some of these words you can start to see are sitting up in here. But what the research shows is that you could have a team member who's feeling high levels of all those 5 C's, but at the end of the day, we still don't actually get a high level of feeling like I'm achieving my potential if we haven't got pride, trust, and recognition overarching it. So even though I might have the high levels in those 5 C's, I still need high levels of pride, trust, and recognition. Obviously within this, there's a lot of chunks. But overarching is the trust, recognition, and pride. The reason being is that for me to feel proud, or for me to feel pride in the work that I do, to be able to say, you know, I'm pretty proud, I've got my organisation's logo on my badge or whatever that might be, I'm proud to say who I work for. But for those people who were able to say that they were proud of the organisation they worked for, they needed to have trust. They needed to trust the people they worked with, and they also needed to be trusted. So not micromanaged. You know how to do your job. And then also the recognition piece. So if I'm not trusted and if I'm not recognised, if I'm not acknowledged and thanked for the work that I do, then I'm less likely to be proud of the organisation that I work for. So if you'd like to know more about the science of happiness at work, please feel free to get in touch with us via the contact page.